So let's then, Chansky, discuss the feasibility of hiring or dedicating a special legal counsel to protect Drake's interest in all 40B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I've asked for a discussion on the feasibility of hiring or dedicating an attorney to look out for the town's interest in upcoming 40B projects, not because I'm against affordable housing. I believe I stated at our last meeting that we all want our children to be able to afford a house or live in the town that they grew up in. As you know, there are several 40B projects that are at various stages in process, and although we should look at each one of them on their own merits, we simply cannot ignore the fact that one or two or all of them joined together have the potential to decimate our school system, tax our public safety departments, and change the rural character of our neighbors, of our town. One of these projects can only be described as nothing more than dropping a city on top of a farm. I've read the town manager's response to my agenda item asking that we invite our current town council to our next meeting, and I think that we should explore all avenues available to us so that we may address some of the many concerns that our neighbors, homeowners, taxpayers, and more importantly, our constituents have regarding this issue. I'm interested in what the board has to say tonight, and I want the board to know that I will be asking for a suspension of the rules at our next meeting to allow public comment when the attorney is finished her presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else?
If I may?
Yep.
I agree 100%. I'm not against affordable housing, but these really concern me. And I've been doing a little bit of research, and it does seem like an uphill battle to fight the state on this. And I don't know if the town of Drake is big enough, but it does seem other cities and towns want to fight it too. So I don't know if one of the things we can look at is probably not big enough for a class action, but could we combine with other cities and towns to fight this?
So we haven't even received a submittal yet, so I think we're a little premature on certain things, but that's okay. Because we don't know what the impact is until we get the actual approval from the state. Once they give it to us, then we take it from there. I'm happy to read, we have that statement, Joe, do you want to, we can explain a little bit of the process.
Of what it is, or which
Yeah.
one? The one that you sent, or the one you just gave me?
The one I just gave you.
I can read it.
It's just an overview of the process and how it works, just so people can,
The legislature of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has determined that the creation of affordable housing is a high priority for all cities and towns. It's established Chapter 40B of the general laws to create more affordable housing, AKA 40B, which allows developers to override local zoning controls where municipalities do not have enough affordable housing based on a percentage of all the housing available in the community. Under the general law, comprehensive permits projects are subject only to review and approval by the Zoning Board of Appeal. We appreciate your attention to the Murphy's Farm project and suggest that you follow project progress on our website. Once an application is received by the ZBA, public hearing will be open, the discussion will be held with the application concerning project details. I too have spoken with, I spoke with Allison Manigian over this as well, and she's trying to work, as Ann had mentioned, they have not submitted anything as of yet. There's no formal submittal. They're trying to work something out with the developer which is more palatable. Because as I just read, the 40B, once it's approved, they don't go by what our bylaws, our setbacks, any of that stuff are. So I think in a long part of it, we're probably jumping the gun a little bit, and maybe, I mean, we need to work with the developer right now, because I think the ball's pretty much kind of in his court. And that's the whole issue of this thing.
yeah, our community development director, Allison Manukian, is working directly with him, along with Karis North, which is our attorney through Murphy Hess Toomey, who specializes in 40B, and Dave could probably speak more to that than I can.
I'm happy to. Karis, a colleague of mine, has got 20 years of experience in town council practice. And she has carved out a pretty good practice area in the discipline of 40B project. She represents several towns, both as town council and as special counsel on 40B projects. The towns of Norwood, Milton, Situate, and Dartmouth, to name a few. I think her experience and her advice on these matters is I think top notch. So you have the opportunity to get all of the guidance that may be needed in this process from your town council office at a rate that is far below, frankly, what special counsel rates would be for this type of work. I know that from experience. So, while I understand the urgency of the matter, it would make sense to have Karis here. I think next week it was planned for her to give you her insight on these projects in general. And I echo what the town manager said. We're getting a little bit out over our skis, if you will, regarding any particular project that hasn't been applied for yet. So.
And I understand that, and, you know, my goal here is, you know, believe it or not, there are people in the audience that have formed a group to study the issues, not to kill the project, but to study the issues. And that group in the audience had 0 members in it last Monday night, and the last time I checked, there's 400 people in that neighborhood that are very concerned. It's not only the smart thing for us to look into all of our options, it's our duty to. So with that said, I asked for either to hire a special counsel or to assign a special counsel. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see the attorney sitting there going, yes, check, the builder did that right. Yes, check, the builder followed that protocol. Yes, check, the builder did that right. Sorry, there's nothing we can do about it. I don't believe that there's nothing we can do about it. I understand the 40B, but there's a lot about 40B that even this board doesn't understand. For example, the 10% goal that we've been trying to get, earnestly trying to get, right, Ann? I mean, we're always looking for 40B housing. The 10% that we're trying to get, the other 90%, if you build 10 houses, you get 1. You build 10 houses, you get 1. So where does this 10% come from? Is it just a number out of the sky? Is it, why isn't it 9%? Why isn't it 25%? Is it a law or is it a goal? They talk about, wow, you're not going to get any more grants from the state. Well, really? Does anybody here know that it doesn't include Chapter 90? Does anyone here know that it doesn't include Chapter 70 for the schools? So what exactly are we going to lose if we say this doesn't fit in the neighborhood or this will decimate our town? I would like to see an attorney assigned to this case that's going to sit with the ZBA when it does come to the ZBA, and I want that attorney to be aggressive to protect our town. This is going to change the face of our whole town. We're losing the ruralness of our town, and quite frankly, now I know a lot of the board members were born and brought up here. I blew in 50 years ago from the city, and I moved from the city out here because I love the ruralness of this town, and since I've been a selectman, I've tried very hard to keep the balance of bringing in enough business, but also keeping the ruralness of the town. This project does not fit where it's going, and I think that we need an attorney that's going to be aggressive. I'm more than happy to have her come in but I also do want to reserve the right to at least bring up before the board that, maybe we can put it out to bid. We're going to pay a lawyer one way or the other to protect our interests, and I want to explore all of our options.
The other area that we also have a resource available is through the state. Allison is currently working with the state. Once they submit once they submit or give him their approval, if that does happen, there's a resource available that we can use on the state level that will help us understand and dive into the weeds of all of it, so.
Right, and if any of the board members would like, would like to see what the people are thinking, look at Allison's response to the state, and she also put public comment in there.
Everything's on the website.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you want to find out what the issues are, read the letter from one of the people in the group, and, we've got, this gives me a very uneasy feeling, and I don't like the fact that people are shrugging, saying, there's nothing we can do, the state's going to let them do that. I'm not going to let the state ruin this town.
Well, like I said, I think the problem is first, like, there has not been a submittal. Allison is working with him to hopefully trying to get it so it's a more palatable project. I mean, at this stage, that's the way it is until he submits.
No, I understand that, Joe, and the people in the group, they understand something's gonna go there. I mean, we understand property rights and things like that, but I don't think it's ever too early to start to identify the issues that.
It's not, but it makes
he's
it
gonna-
very difficult for negotiations prior to the submission. It's making it very difficult, I'll be honest with you.
That's the problem.
That's a problem, because, it doesn't give us that flexibility that we've had because of all the hoopla, which is premature. And, I mean, it is what it is, I guess, but
Well, I beg to disagree with you. The bottom line is somebody has sunk money into this conceptual plan
Right.
already. Someone's planning to do all of
Oh,
this.
yeah, without a doubt.
Granted, it may be scaled down, but, I don't want to see somebody get in front of this board or go in front of the ZBA and start talking from their heart. I want to see facts. I want to know how many kids this is going to put in the school system. I want to know how many more police response or ambulance are going to be caused by, 600 bedrooms or whatever the fact may be. I've said enough as it is. I'm happy to listen to council at our next meeting on the 28th, but I do want the board to know that I am going to ask that we suspend the rules and ask for comment from the neighborhood.
On 600, 1,200.
1,200, I'm sorry.
Go up, no problem.
I was on the zoning board of appeals for quite some time before I came here, and when I was on the ZBA, I thought you just had to accept the 40B because of the 10% rule. But when we went, Tony and I both attended that affordable housing seminar that Allison held last week in conjunction with NEMCOG. And we talked about the fact that that 10% is only noted one time in the 40B laws under section 19. So how important is it, and what specifically do we lose if we say no to a 40B? I think those are the things I would like to know. What are we at risk of losing? And I would also like the zoning board of appeals to get the same information we get so that they have what they need to make a sound decision.
So I believe, and I have to confirm this, but Karis North, the attorney from MHTL, has been attending meetings and working with the zoning board of appeals, and so that's already in play. That's been in play for a few months now, at this point.
There was also something, we've always talked about the 10%, but I read something in the 40B about 1% of land area. And we've never really talked about land area dedicated to affordable housing, so I'm not sure where Drake sits with that. Is that an angle we can pursue? I just don't know. I feel like there's a lot I learned just last Saturday, and I had been on the zoning board of appeals for a decade, so I could use some education for sure.
What I think what's good tonight, too, is some of the questions that you brought up, Dave can pass on to Chris North, and maybe next week
Sure.
we'll have some of that stuff in order so that we all get a good understanding of it.
Right.
Right, and not to discount what you said, Ann, but, I've negotiated contracts my whole life, and I can tell you that when you go into negotiations, you go in from a position of strength, not of weakness. So you don't go in there saying, I know the state's gonna let you do this.
I mean, the first thought, I think Allison had said, somebody's already come up from the state, and they looked at it, and they said, well, this is,
Right, they thought it was wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
they thought it was
Of course,
wonderful.
they don't live there.
That's right. They don't live there. Then a developer comes from Andover, so
Okay, so suffice to say, we'll invite council in at our next meeting.
the 28th.
On the 28th.
Next
and,
week.
And we'll have a good discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just out of curiosity, are we expecting a large crowd? Because we wouldn't be able to put them in here.
I think if we open it up to discussion, I would say, yeah, probably, at least
We have
probably
yeah.
Harmony Hall.
I don't think we can because we have technology issues there.
Mhm.
The technology is not set up. It will be by the end of April, but it's, with.
Oh,
They're in the-
really?
Yeah, they're in the
Yes, with
midst of.
delays
Oh,
and
so there's
supplies.
no television coverage?
They might be able to come portable, but there won't be any kind of presentations or anything. So, I mean, we
Do
could,
you want me to
We need
look
to
at
look into
Harmony
Harmony Hall.
Hall tomorrow? Because
Yeah.
we'll have to make sure that's posted and
Yep.
we try to get the word out as much as we can that we'll be at Harmony Hall at that point.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
that's the best solution, at least to see if that is large
Okay.
enough.
Yep, I'll call them in the morning and see if the room's available, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you.
So we're ready to move on?
Yes.